Live. What's up, y'all? I see a couple people in the chat already. Got my special guest with me, Frank the Tank, New Jersey legend, Barstool legend, and Nets fan.
Hey,
Get
how's
some,
everyone going? The Nets drive me nuts. What drives me nuts is it seems like they play better when I'm not watching. I
It
put the
seems to
game
work
on.
out like that, huh?
I put the game on, and the next thing you know, the other team goes on like a 13-1 run.
I mean, I was watching the playoffs yesterday and like NFL playoffs, and I'm trying to watch both the Nets game and the playoffs. And after the first half, the Nets were wasting my time. I'm like, I'm gonna focus on these NFL games or like the end of that Bills game.
I don't remember a divisional weekend like this where every game was just post pounding, thrilling, went to the last moment. The Green Bay Packers, their special teams. The special teams coach should be applying to McDonald's today.
Block punt
Blocked
like that.
punt, blocked extra point, blocked field goal, kick returns. The 49ers had no business winning that game. No business. Jimmy G is a terrible quarterback,
He
and he
always
might be
gets
going to
saved.
he might be
He
going to
always
another
gets
Super
lucky,
Bowl.
man. He gets so lucky. He gets the luckiest breaks. He doesn't ever have to make the throw to win it.
And the Niners actually have the Rams number. I think the Niners have won like 6 straight against the Rams. So there are more 49er fans in Los Angeles than Rams fans and the Rams are actually trying to block people from outside the Los Angeles area from buying tickets.
Right. Because we all saw that last game of the season, how many Niners fans filled that place. It was all red jerseys mixed in there. That's what they want.
Yeah, well, it's going to be all red jerseys at the Super Bowl when the Chiefs come walking in.
All right. We'll start up in 1 second, folks. I'm posting the link on Instagram and Twitter so people know. And then we'll get started. Talking
And
Nets.
and and as much of a Dolphin fan I am, I just feel so heartsick for Bills fans.
I
That had
mean,
to.
they had that game. I bet on the Bills. I was telling everybody the Bills are going to the Super Bowl, and it sucks. We'll talk
Yeah,
about it on WFAN tonight. It sucks
I
that
picked
Josh
I
Allen
picked.
doesn't get a chance in the overtime. He doesn't even get
You
to
know,
step on the field.
I thought of a new rule. How to do it?
Okay.
Team that gets the ball first scores a touchdown. The other team gets the ball and can't answer, but must go for two. So the game comes down to a 2-point
Kind
conversion.
of like college football, like a little bit of the college football strategy into the NFL, which I just think it's got to change for playoffs. It's one thing for
Yeah,
regular
yeah,
season games, but playoffs, it's like it can't end like that.
yeah. And this is how you do it. If you give up a touchdown, then you get a chance to score a touchdown, but you must go for two. And that other team has nothing else to say. Okay, we gave up a touchdown. If we stop them, we win. Now it's a 2-point play. One last play. The ultimate drama. If they scored a 2-point, they win. If the don't, the Chiefs win. Could you imagine the ultimate drama of a 2-point try deciding the game?
Yeah, it would be sick. I mean, the NFL is king. The NFL won with those games this weekend. Like, you get the best of the best, and you get that competition. That's great. All
You
right,
know what
let's
it
get
is? It's
started. Let's get
NFL's
started.
once a week. NFL's once a week. The
Yep.
seasons are short. It's a one-game elimination. That's why the NFL was king.
Yeah, when it works out perfectly like that, we all just realize what a juggernaut the NFL is and what they have when they get the best on the field.
I'm a Devil season ticket holder, and I gave up my seats for both games this weekend because I'm not missing
You're
NFL
gonna,
playoffs
yeah.
for a
Saturday, I was
Devils regular season game.
Saturday I was out there and I missed the game, but as soon as I got in the car, I was listening to it on the radio and I got to hear Robbie Gould end Aaron Rodgers' time with the Packers. It was great.
Oh God!
All right,
You know it's
basketball
going to be interesting where
fans.
Aaron Rodgers goes. I think he's going to end up going somewhere to a team that's like a quarterback away. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to Pittsburgh.
No, don't say that. It could happen though. Or Tampa, right? Brady out, Aaron Rodgers in. All right, folks. I don't want to waste you guys' time. Frank the Tank and I could probably talk sports, all sports, for hours, but I know you guys want to hear about your Brooklyn Nets, so we'll get started here. All right, from the top. This is episode 146, Talkin Nets, titled Hot, Then Humbled, because Friday night we were super hot in San Antonio. We were riding high. James Harden, Kyrie Irving, the whole team flowing, looking good. And then Sunday night, another letdown. It's kind of what the Nets do, you know. It's a tale of two Hardens. It's a roller coaster. You're up 1 minute, you're down the next. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the news, the narratives, the injuries as well, and whatever else people are talking about in the Nets world with my special guest, Frank the Tank. Talking Nets, let's get Nets world, baby. Let's go. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets, episode 146. Your Brooklyn Nets lost the game last night, but it's okay. Joining me today is Barstool's own and New Jersey's own Frank the Tank. What's up, Frank? Introduce yourself and say hello to the people.
How's everyone going? Boy, the Nets just dropped nuts this year. I mean, truthfully, if they don't win the NBA championship, with the talent they have, anything less than the Larry O'Brien trophy is unacceptable.
The never easy Nets. And Frank and I are longtime Nets fans. Frank may be longer than me. Frank, when did you first get into the Nets or decide that the Nets were your team? Obviously in the New Jersey days, but around what year, what era, what players really got you
what's ironic is I didn't start out as a Nets fan.
Okay.
I was the Larry Bird era fan of the Celtics. Then I kind of drifted to the Suns because I like Danny Ainge. I like Charles Barkley. They both Ainge retired. Barkley went to Houston, and then I look over at the Nets, and they're starting to get some good players together. Finally, Jason Williams, Keith Van Horn, Kerry Kittle start trickling in. And that's basically when I started following. And basically when, and then even though he was a bomb as a coach, John Calipari.
Yep.
That's sort of right around the time I started following the Nets. They came out with that new logo with the shield and new uniforms, and you hope that they actually start. You hope that they started playing better, and of course, being from New Jersey, I mean, why not? Root for the Nets. There's something about the Knicks I just don't like.
Yeah, of course. There's a few things about the Knicks that we don't like. It's just the weird energy that surrounds them and the blue and orange, and then it's always
I like blue and orange. I'm a Mets fan.
Oh yeah, hold on. That reminds me. I got to show the clip from when I met Frank. It was Mets Yankees Mets game. The Saturday night 9/11 game.
11th, yeah.
The only game the Yankees won. Here's the clip.
Let's go Nets.
Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. So that was the only game the Mets or the Yankees won. The Mets took that series from us, but Citi Field was on fire that whole weekend.
I mean, that was like the last gasp of the Mets. The Tuesday after that game, they lost a game in 12 innings, and they brought out a pitcher who was basically had a ERA over 9 in the minors because they didn't want to. They didn't. And Luis Rojas said that I don't want to overuse our pitchers
right
this time of year. Good luck. That's and now he's your guy. He's going to be your third base coach. Oh, I'm not going to send him. I don't want to.
Send everybody. The reason we got rid of Phil Nevin and brought him in is he's supposed to send everyone. We need every run we can get.
You're going to hate Louis Rojas. And then he has that smirk.
I already got to deal with Boone for another 3 years, and then they add the Mets former manager to Boone.
I hear you guys are going to sign Michael Cano for.
Hey, you guys stole Eric Chavez from us. That was a solid move. Like, yeah, we'll give him more money and a better job over here. He flipped quickly. It wasn't even a matter of it wasn't even a month. It was a couple of weeks.
He was a good hitter.
Yeah, he was. Former Yankee. All right, well, let's talk Nets, because I got to have you call in the WFAN so we can have our full-on sports conversation, but I know the Nets fans want to hear the Nets talk. So let's start with last night's game. I said in the intro it's a tale of two Hardens, and that's because we go right now, without KD, we go as Harden goes. And it's like if Harden doesn't have his regular triple-double Houston Harden night, the Nets are most likely going to struggle or just not have enough. Kyrie gave us enough. Kyrie tried to will us back yesterday. But let's talk about...
You need to play every game on the road. I don't want him to come home anytime soon.
Bro, I saw your reply to my tweet, like, let him play. Yeah, we're at the point where it's like...
Pay him. Pay the fine.
Like, we got to do everything that we can to get Kyrie. If the NBA says don't pay the fines, pay the fines. If the NBA doesn't want to help us or the state doesn't want to help us, we're past the point of Kyrie Irving not being able to play in Brooklyn anymore.
I think it's silly that he doesn't want to get the vaccine, but you know what? It's him.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get him to do it. He is his own person. He's his own. He beats to a different drum.
Yep.
He is a little on the strange side, but you know what? He's a very good player, and to not have him on the court is ridiculous.
He's an artist, man. They say all artists are a little off. They're a little different. And when you watch Kyrie on the court and you see his artwork, you can understand a little bit why he's a different thinker and he does things a little differently because he steps on the court and he does that. But, speaking of Kyrie, last night they asked him and they asked Nash, they asked all the guys about the officiating, the refs. And Kyrie was fined $25,000 for cursing at the fan, which that's another thing. I think it's ridiculous that we live in a time now with social media where the fans can yell all types of things at the players. They can say anything to the players, but as soon as they turn the camera on and they catch the players saying something back, the players can get fined for that now. He got fined $25,000, and last night he says, listen, I just got fined. When they asked him about the refs and the officiating, he didn't want to comment on it. Nash came out and straight up said, yeah, we can tell, like, it's a little different for James. James was the poster child, and, he's not getting some of those calls, and that makes me think about this with Nash. If you're in the post game critiquing the officials, why aren't you in the game getting teed up, getting furiously mad with these refs? Like, James Harden is always talking to them.
Now, I think in the NBA, coaching, of all the four major sports, coaching matters the least. The players can coach themselves half the time, especially when you have Kevin Durant healthy. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant basically, whatever he wants to do, let him do it.
He controls it. And Kyrie said before we even got Nash, he said on any night, any of us could be the coach, knowing that their basketball IQ between a Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they can recognize how they're being defended. They can recognize their strengths and weaknesses in the game, and they can make adjustments. Honestly, with Nash right now, it's the same things that we keep hearing. His rotations and his timeouts. He does.
He did that. That's the one thing that bothers me about Nash. When those when those runs start, he is just.
It's like, help us out, coach. Help us out. Call timeout. Don't be paralyzed in the moment like fans are. We're paralyzed in the moment. Like, yo, we're getting smoked. Like the Timberwolves are going on another run.
I mean, you got to hold those a few timeouts for the end of the game. But when the team is just like when it starts getting like 12-0, at that moment you got to say, okay, let's stop this. Let's concentrate. When you start like.
Just got to regroup for a second, at least.
I was watching the Seton Hall St. John's game. And Seton Hall. Now they won the game, but there was a point where St. John's was like on an 8-1 run, and they had an over and back where the guy like dribbles the ball over the center line, and then like try to like do a move and move the ball back, and then on the next play, dribble the ball out of bounds. I mean, that's what you call timeout when you start making mental errors.
Yeah, and you
and
got to
you
talk
need
to
that
these
mental
guys.
break. You need that mental break just for like okay, what are we doing? Slow things down. Let's
Exactly.
concentrate.
In
And
the
Steve
moment,
Nash,
and all the madness with the fans and the clock running down and time, expiring on you, you can call timeout and you can regroup and say, okay, this is what we're going to do in this moment. And I feel like
Steve Nash doesn't do that because
he's
he's
got to
not
get
that
better.
good.
And I understand
Yeah.
people are like, he's not that kind of coach or whatever. No, stop making excuses for him. We don't know what kind of coach he is. It's his second year. He's still becoming the kind of coach that he's supposed to be. And that type of stuff can come back to bite us in the playoffs. It's got to get figured out now.
Yeah.
It's got to get figured out soon.
And like I said, this team has to be healthy. It has to be strong, and we got to get whatever it is. I mean, hopefully Eric Adams ends by the time April rolls around.
The mandate should be like by April when it's hot out and people aren't getting sick as much and things are opening up and people want to go do more things. It's about money. It's about business. And honestly, the businesses in New York, a lot of them require you showing a proof of vaccination. Now, I understood that in the fall going into the winter, but as we get into the spring, are they really going to keep, 40% of the people that are unvaccinated? I don't even know the numbers, but are they going to keep those people out when people are trying to make money and do business? I think some things are going to change. It's not going to be.
I think we're at least over 70%, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, 40. I was saying 40 people not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 40% of people not vaccinated. Whatever. Speaking of our coaches, David Vanderpool was fined $10,000 for sticking his hand out and interfering with that play against the Wizards. I think the Nets also got fined $25,000. There's a lot of money from Kyrie, the Nets, Vanderpool. What do you think about when you saw that play live? Like, it affected the game directly in the moment.
Well, I didn't see that play live. I only saw it on replay. I was actually watching the Devils at the time.
Well, I saw it live, and it wasn't that I couldn't believe it. Evan and I talked about it. Evan Roberts knows whenever we play the Wizards, their court, the way their court is set up with the fans right there's no room. So Vanderpool was coaching and making just a quick jerk reaction to something, and the pass hit his hand. He didn't mean it. Feel bad for the guy, but it is what it is. Other news as we move on here. Happy trails. Paul Millsap is going to find a new home. We'll see what happens with that. I think it works for us, and obviously it's going to work for him. He wants to play. He's been riding the bench. He's a veteran, and Kessler Edwards.
Sometimes you got to know your role. He's not a star anymore. He's got to. I guess he wants to just be on a team that just so.
I thought he was ring chasing. I thought he was cool with whatever role he had as long as he was on the team to get a ring.
I mean, look at Blake. I mean, there's no bigger ring chaser right now than Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Who basically, if Blake Griffin plays more than 20 minutes, he's gonna suck.
I mean, we got to figure it out with Blake because might as well trade him then if he's gonna get DMPs or not get that many minutes. What do you have, like 11 minutes in the Spurs game where he gave us some decent minutes, but then he had 6 minutes last night and then he sits on the bench. Like, this is a former #1 pick. This is a guy that does add some value, but we got to figure out where. And if it's not on this team, then move him. Because I was about to say, like, Kessler Edwards needs to be a full-time player. He's starting games for us now. And in Marks we trust. The deadline is approaching February 10th. We can get better. We can get another shooter on this team or another big on this team or another wing on this team, someone to help with the rebounding.
Yeah. Well, what's going to be interesting to see what happens is the moves that are going to be made at the deadline. God forbid, let Russell Westbrook stay out there in L.A.
Unless the Knicks want him. The Knicks should go get him. That was my show the other night.
Perfect. He'd be perfect on the Knicks.
I was like, the Knicks fans are always crying about we need a point guard. We need a superstar. There you go, a superstar point guard, Russell Westbrook.
He'd actually be perfect on the Knicks because he'd get them in the playoffs. He won't get them far in the playoffs. But
they'll sell tickets with him.
Give fans something to cheer about.
They'll have all the fans in the arena, and then they'll lose
until Zion Williamson is healthy and ready to leave New Orleans.
Yeah, they have to reunite those three Duke
Yeah,
guys.
I actually kind of picture Zion Williamson being like the guy in jail that's checking off every day on the calendar until he
Counting
can
down the
actually,
days.
so he can actually. There's no. I have no doubt that Zion Williamson is going to be a Knick. I have no doubt.
Maybe he's trying to force his way out of there like Harden forced his way out of Houston, the fat stuff. Like, hey, they ate too much. They eat their way out. Sure. And then all of a sudden they get in shape when he comes here. Watch.
It's not a great. It's not a good. It's not a great organization. They don't put players around anybody.
Right.
I mean, look how many years Anthony Davis is wasted out there.
Exactly. Well, all right. That's pretty much it for the news and narratives. Let's talk injuries. Obviously, Nick Claxton is still out with the hamstring injury. Part of me is like, why are they taking so much time with this? This kid has missed a bunch of games now. What exactly are they doing? I don't know, maybe if it's a thing to hide him before the trade deadline or if it's a thing to humble him. I said, with Nick Claxton, it's either they're hiding or humbling. It's either they're hiding him from the league or they're humbling him because of his, things off the court or his past or whatever.
It could be because, the hamstring is tricky. Yeah, you could go out there and re-injure it, and then you're out even longer.
Harden had the hamstring last year. KD had the hamstring last year. The Nets medical staff is very cautious with hamstring injuries. So that probably is what it is. Joe Harris has had some setbacks. Watching the postgame Friday, I tweeted out that James Harden basically told us, he alluded to the fact that, Joe wouldn't be back after All-Star because he said after All-Star, when we get KD and Joe back, which lets you know they aren't planning to rush Joe back. He started shooting again, and he started to have some setbacks with his ankle. It sucks, but we miss Joe Harris. We need him as a floor spacer. We're not the actual team until we get one of the best shooting threats in the world back. What are you thinking about Joe Harris and his return? He's been out now for months.
Well, he wasn't playing well this year, so hopefully by the time he's healthy, he's able to actually hit the three-pointers and not like Game 7 last year where he was building a new Brooklyn Bridge with all the bricks he was laying.
Man, I want him so badly to come back and seek his revenge and start his revenge tour and remind people he's Joey Buckets. He's an assassin from three. Only better three-point shooter is Steph, if that. Steph's been struggling. So hurry back, Joey, and also hurry back, KD. Now it's been a couple weeks or a week. So we're a week in, I think, to KD's injury. He'll obviously be back after the All-Star break. And what I feel like is KD has probably already alluded or told the players or alluded to this. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm going to be good. And he's got his time, and he's probably going to come back February 24th right after the All-Star game. And damn, do we need him. We miss him in the second half. We miss him in closing the games. We miss his scoring. We miss his leadership.
They almost lost Washington's game. That was a game where you could really feel at the end of the game they missed him.
Yeah, the thing about Kevin Durant is he is the Nets closer. He's that stabilizing force. You put the ball in his hands late in the game, and you feel all right. You feel like, hey, we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna pull out the win, no matter what the score is or situation. You feel good with KD. So Clax is out, hamstring. They're taking their time with him. We'll see what goes on. I saw someone in the chat say I think they might trade Claxton. I think they might trade him too, but if you were looking to trade him, wouldn't you want to put him on the court, show his value a little more, or do y'all think he did that? You must think in a little bit of time. He missed the first, he played the first 3 games. He missed 17 games. He came back, I think.
Who's out there the Nets can actually get?
I don't know. We have this talk all the time. People throw out, Eric Gordon, or there's so many names. I always hate to speculate because in Marks we trust. Sean Marks will get the guy that's out there. They're working on it. There's going to be a guy we're not even thinking of.
I hate when trade deadline talk just overtakes
because it's all they go into the trade simulator and people put in names in the trade simulator, and if they get it, they're like, this is it. Speaking of trades, that gets me into my last narrative before we really talk about the games. This whole James Harden to Philly narrative, I put a tweet out on Talkin Nets with James Harden laughing at the thought that he's going to go to Philly. There's a lot of talk about him possibly joining Daryl Morey in Philly. I think Shams is the main guy stirring this pot. So Shams goes, the 76ers prefer to wait to pursue James Harden or another superstar in the offseason and want to save Ben Simmons for that potential deal over current market, per sources. And then he drops a link to his article where, in my opinion, I think it's just for clicks. I always say Kyrie for clicks. It's Harden for clicks. Harden is having a good time being a Brooklyn Net. Do you think there's anything there behind a Ben Simmons trade or James Harden wanting to go to Philly? I think he wants to stay in New York, as most people would want to stay in New York over Philly.
I mean, if the Nets are healthy and playing the way they should, they're going to win the NBA championship.
Yeah.
The only question is, with my luck, my players never stay healthy.
Mine too. I mean, that's everybody's luck, but I look at it like
I'm still haunted by 1993 when Dan Marino shredded his Achilles tendon.
I'm like 93. What happened to the Nets? You're talking about Marino, and I mean, as a Dolphins fan, never actually getting to the Super Bowl with Dan and winning it, and I think Dan played in one Super Bowl.
Yep,
but he didn't win one, and that's
he won a and it wasn't like he went that Super Bowl has a record that will may never be broken. The best combined record for two teams. The Dolphins were 14-2, and the 49ers were 15-1. They'll never. I don't know if we'll ever see another Super Bowl where the two teams have combined 3 losses.
Probably not. Not in this NFL. And from one 13 to another, I feel like James Harden is happy here. After the Spurs win, he's hugging Kyrie. He's having a good time playing with the Brooklyn Nets, leading the Brooklyn Nets while KD is down. And in this next coming stretch of games, Kyrie is not going to play. So it's literally James Harden's show. It's James Harden's team to lead. It is all on Harden's shoulders. So when I say there's a tale of two Hardens. We'll talk about it later in the show, but we have the Lakers coming up, where on Christmas Day, Patty Mills, James Harden, they had to carry us. We need that energy again. I don't think James Harden is interested in going to Philly, but money talks. He didn't sign his extension. I understand why people put that out there. I just think he's happy playing with Kyrie and KD and wants to win a championship in Brooklyn, and he has a better chance in Brooklyn. I know people dream of him being paired with Joel Embiid, who's having an MVP season, but I think Harden's good right here. He's a fashion guy. He's a food guy. I think there's good food and fashion in Philly, but obviously nowhere beats New York.
Well, the MVP, if he gets back healthy, is Kevin Durant. Come on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it sucks that KD is out right now, and he's going to take a little bit of a hit to his, MVP campaign, but I think if he comes back strong, he could still do it. James Harden, was the MVP for us last year when KD was down, and we need him to turn back into the MVP, giving us 30-point triple-doubles every night. This next coming stretch of games, we might as well talk about it now before we get into breaking down the games a bit. Take a look at the screen.
I like the fact that I did, back-to-back too? Shit.
Yeah, this is tough. So coming up, the Lakers game.
Well, I hope they could split those games.
I think we can beat the Lakers, but you can never underestimate LeBron. It's a nationally televised game. LeBron coming to Brooklyn is going to have a lot of attention, a lot of people in the arena. I'll be there. I'll be sitting with the Brooklyn Brigade, the block in Section 1. We'll be shooting and obviously, turning up and yelling and screaming and rooting for our Nets. But then the next night, we've got Nikola Jokic, obviously the reigning MVP, coming to town with Denver. And then Saturday, obviously we'll get a little break, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday we got to go out to Golden State and face them on national television, ABC game.
I mean, this is a monster.
It's a gauntlet. And then we have to face the Phoenix Suns out in Phoenix on Tuesday, February 1st on TNT. So we need Harden to help us get through these.
If they could go 5-2 during this stretch, that would be a great accomplishment.
We need Harden to help us and carry us through the Lakers and Denver game. Obviously, Patty and whoever else can step up. LaMarcus Aldridge, let's put some respect on his name as a scorer. But then we also need Kyrie to come back against Golden State. This road trip, take a look at this 5-game road trip. Golden State, Phoenix, Sacramento, Utah, Denver. Like that is a gauntlet where it can get rough for us Nets fans. It could get scary, and not our kind of scary hours. Scary in the fact that we could lose some games here and fall a little bit in the standings. It's going to be a rough period, but got to have some optimism.
Yeah, this is what would the stretch that scares me.
Not saying we're going to lose all of these games, but this is a tough stretch, a time where, I don't know, we really got to find it. We really got to figure it out. Nash has to figure it out.
This is where James Harden has to step up, and this is where we're going to need Kyrie when they go on the road to beat Kyrie.
Sure. Thank God we have Kyrie. The Nets pushing the Kyrie button early. The timing seems great because with KD going down, he's been able to step up. Here's the standings in the Eastern Conference right now. The Miami Heat, who scare me.
That's tight. I mean, that is a tight top six. It's tight.
It's going to move around a lot in this week because it is what it is. We're going to lose to some of these top teams in their arenas. I'm not going to say that we're going to lose all these games, but there's some tough opponents coming up. We're a game and a half back. No, a half game back. The Bulls are a game back. The Bucks are a game back. Cleveland is 2 games back, and Philly is 2.5 games back. So just through this next week until we get to February, expect some movement with the top teams in the East. I just hope the Nets can stay in it. All right, let's talk about the games. We'll talk quickly about the Timberwolves game from last night. Wasn't a great one, and obviously we're all watching the NFL playoffs, and me, I was just like, I'm not, like in the second half, I was like, I'm not beat to have my full attention on this Nets game that clearly it looked like at the end, like James Harden and some of these other guys were frustrated. James Johnson was frustrated. I'm like, we're not winning this game. Kyrie tried to will us back. The Brooklyn Nets lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves 136-125. Hammer the over. The over hit. I think the over was 236, so 25 points over the over. And we had nothing for them. We gave up the most points we gave up all season. And it's tough when you go in there and you got to face Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. He gives you 25. And Ant-Man got hurt at the end of that game. Hopefully he's all right. I just love him as a player. I think he's a solid guy. As a number 1 pick, he's been everything they could have expected. Karl Anthony Towns, a Jersey guy. He gives you 23. And
I would love to see him in a Brooklyn uniform one day.
I know, we've been saying that forever. We had him in check for a little bit last night to start, but then, D'Angelo Russell, another 23, and then they have guys like Taurean Prince, former Net, giving them 15 points off the bench, hit, 2 of his threes, was 6 for 6 for shooting. I'm like, Taurean Prince never had a game like that for the Nets, maybe one or two.
I actually feel good for Minnesota that they're actually relevant this year, that they're not.
Yeah, A-Rod's team. A-Rod was courtside. A-Rod goes from watching A-Rod lose in Green Bay, watching Aaron Rodgers lose, to the next day going to Minnesota and watching his team win. My thoughts on the Nets performance, a lot of people were joking about like James Harden being in the strip club the night before, maybe the guy's partying or being out. I saw that they went to like a brunch on Saturday in San Antonio before they left, which was awesome, like team bonding type stuff. But overall, the Nets just got ran out of the building late in the game. It was like we couldn't keep up with them. Everyone was scoring. Defensively we were falling apart. We were getting frustrated. They shot a little bit better than us. They shot better from 3 than us. They didn't out-rebound us, which was strange. We actually had more rebounds than them. But turnovers. The biggest thing here is turnovers. We had 19 total turnovers to their 9. You're not going to win games like that. And then the fouls. The officiating was terrible, and I know you can't blame the refs, and everybody says don't blame the refs, but we had 29 fouls to their 17, and I think it just started to defeat guys and beat guys down like, okay, we got to beat the Wolves and the refs.
Yeah, that never helps. When refs start calling those like ticky-tack fouls and or you get like brushed against harder and they don't call it for you, that I can see how that gets very frustrating.
Right. It's like it's the last game of a 4-game road trip. The Nets are ready to go home. It's a Sunday night late, and they're just like, well, we're not going to beat the refs and the Timberwolves tonight. Looking at the box score, there's a couple guys that I'm just curious about. James Johnson got 20 minutes. He hit a big 3, but for the most part, like he was minus 17. He didn't give us good minutes. Some frustrating fouls. He was getting frustrated, yelling a bit. It's like we really got to figure it out with some of these guys that are supposed to be role players. Bembry, Griffin. Like I said, Griffin only played 6 minutes, 5 points. Kyrie had the best game. Kyrie is hitting his stride. 30 points last night. He tried to will us back, tried to will us into the game, but the largest lead we ever had was 3. The largest lead for Minnesota was 17, and it just wasn't a game you're going to win. Minnesota,
When I saw Minnesota
they've been playing good.
When I saw Minnesota had 70 points at the half, I just knew it was going to be one of those nights.
I think Kessler Edwards had his highest scoring game of the season. He gave us 15. He hit 3 threes. Another start for him and Day'Ron Sharpe. And, yeah, man, James Harden, only 13 points, 6 turnovers. He shot 1 of 4 from 3, 4 of 13 field goals. Patty Mills gave us 21. Patty showed up. 5 threes. He hit 50% of his threes, 8 of 15. Patty showed up.
When Harden is horrible, the Nets have no shot.
Yeah, hopefully Harden, just puts this one in the past because we're going to need him these next 2 games at home. Don't worry too much about this one. It's an NBA game. Any night, anyone can get got. We have a great record. We're 17-6 on the road, but you can't win them all on the road. That's all I've got on this game. Let me see. I see people going in the chat a bit. And you guys can send your thoughts on the game last night. Torian Prince's booty. That man ain't never had a good game with us. Hey, he had a revenge game against us last night. We lose games we should be winning. I think that's a game against a 500 team. On paper, you think that you should win, but they're at home, and they have 3 guys that are low-key like stars. Like, not even low-key. Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, and Karl-Anthony Towns are superstars in this league. I'm not making excuses for the Nets. They got to play better defense. They got to have more energy. I know the refs are what they are, but they're bad every night. If you listen to Talkin Nets and you watch me on Twitter, I'm like, this is standard. Expect the refs to suck or not know when a foul is a foul or miss a call. It just is what it is. But right, Williams said, the turnovers are killing us. That's what it is. That's how you get into these 8-0 runs, these 12-0 runs. You keep giving them the ball back.
And when the turnovers start piling up, Nash's got to call timeout, and he doesn't.
Right, so that's where we need Nash. Call timeout when we're getting fouls or the fouls aren't going our ways. Talk to these refs, and also call the timeout when things aren't going our ways and we're turning the ball over. It's a 8-0 run, a 10-0 run, a 12-0 run, like just to give us a break to regroup. Let's see. Bro, can I ask why in the world James Johnson was playing more than Day'Ron Sharpe? I do not know. That's why I said we got to figure it out. I don't know what they're experimenting with. Maybe it was like a size thing, length thing, pause. Like, I don't know. I can't justify the rotations. I try and figure it out myself, and I feel like I'm learning as they're experimenting with everything. Yeah, Cam Thomas, 15 minutes. Day'Ron Sharpe, 22 minutes. Blake Griffin, 6 minutes. It is what it is.
Maybe they're saving Blake for the Lakers.
Maybe they are, because, I think they do try to rest guys. Maybe that was effectively like a rest type game for Blake, only playing 6 minutes. Jethawk says, bro, tell me y'all saw that Nash was just chilling with his hands behind his head, making it look like he was giving up. Yeah, he kind of was just like looking up at the scoreboard. Like, bro, get up and coach the game. It is what it is. I hate to kill Nash, but sometimes it's merited. But what I'll tell you as we move on to the next game, which is the more fun game, the Nets don't care about these regular season games. They just don't. It's one regular season game. That's why
But they need to get top 2 seed, I think.
Oh, they're absolutely going to need to get the top 2 seed, and they'll worry about that. Like, we're not going to drop too far out of it. I think at the worst, we drop to like the 4th or 5th seed, even if we lose games through the stretch. But the Nets not caring about regular season games is why, like, they're not going so hard. It's like, hey, tip your cap to your opponent. They had a good night. All right, now to the actual game that had all the Nets fans turned up, that had Nets world going crazy. The game against the Spurs Friday night. Your Brooklyn Nets beat the Spurs 117-102 back in San Antonio. Patty Mills, LaMarcus Aldridge return home. They gave him a nice little tribute video. And then we got to playing, and Kyrie was hot right away. Kyrie didn't waste any time. Let's see. I think I got some clips. Kyrie is just – that's from the 4th quarter. The thing about Kyrie is when he gets going early, he gives us energy.
get to three. Irving follows it up. And
Drains one. Ballin'. Let's see. Kyrie.
shot clock at 6. Irving guarded by Murray. Finds some space and hits the jumper.
Let's see. Kessler Edwards.
Kicking Edwards corner 3 is good.
Kyrie's.
Gonna push. Here is Irving. Pull up 3 is good.
Man, when the Nets have Kyrie, I said on the radio, I was like, when the Nets have Kyrie, he's the energy boost that we need. When they say the Nets don't start fast, Kyrie is ready to start fast. He's a shot in the arm, pun intended.
B12 shot.
B12 shot, not a Moderna shot, not a Pfizer shot. But the refs sucked in this game in the beginning too. We saw plenty of times where Harden was having conferences with these refs. It's like he's trying to figure it out and they don't know. He has to chat with the refs every night. I just get tired of seeing him go to the hoop, cry for a foul to be called, not get it, and then go talk to the ref. It's like, dude, that's not going to help us. You got to play through it.
When he doesn't get the call, he starts losing it. And those are when he starts having those bad games.
I mean, it's frustrating to watch because it's like we see it all the time. It is crazy. But, all right, back to the clips from this fun game Friday night.
Irving into the paint. Irving. Oh!
Let's see. We opened up our law.
Mills ahead. Irving bounces. Brown finishes. Largest lead of the night.
And, I mean, are you...
Run to send it to overtime. Aldridge, mid-range. No. Harden the rebound. He's got the triple-double. He's got the bucket and the foul. Flex, James.
I mean, we just...
But it's effective for him. Irving into the paint. Catch.
It's ridiculous. Then they wanted to just have a dunk fest.
About a 7-second difference game in shot clock. Aldridge, the two-hand finish on a gorgeous dime from James Harden. Assist 9 rebounds to go with his 26. White gets denied by Brown. Nets have time. Mills to Brown. He slams it down with 1/10 of a second.
We never play good in San Antonio. The Nets historically, I mean, from the finals we lost there, but like the Nets historically don't play good in San Antonio. We have 2 guys from San Antonio in Patty in LA now, and I like to think that the Nets.
I think this is the first time the Nets have ever won 2 straight games in San Antonio, something like that.
Yeah, in the last like 2 years. I mean, Pop is always going to have his teams ready. We saw in the overtime game 2 Sundays ago that the Nets, played with the Spurs. It took overtime to beat them. Cam Thomas had to hit the game winner, I think. But to see the Nets go out there on the road in San Antonio with former players, 2 former players out there getting their tribute, there was a lot of emotion. LA did what he had to do. I think Patty had a little bit of an off night. Looking at the box score here, you get a James Harden 37-point triple-double, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. That's vintage James Harden. And then you get Kyrie with another 25 points, hitting 3 of 6 threes, 10 of 21. Let's see. I had another Kyrie clip.
12 in the quarter. Irving a 3. You bet.
Shooting dagger.
Nets will run some clock. 5 to shoot. Harden a 3. You bet. He is. Harden. He got it.
Late in that game, we were all going nuts. Nets fans were celebrating on Twitter and Twitter Spaces. That's what the team is supposed to look like. And Kevin Durant is on this team. Don't forget, that team can turn up like that, and we still have the best player in the world on the bench. DeJounte Murray gave us 25. White gave us 17. Podol 15. Podol was hacking the hell out of Harden. Overall, we played better defense, and that's what I'll say. In the fourth quarter, we locked down. We put up 38, held them to 28. In the third quarter, we came out hot, scored 29, held them to 23. If we don't have the defense and we don't have the communication and the energy, we're not going to win the game. But the Nets pull out the win. What'd you think about that Friday night Nets victory in San Antonio, Tank?
Well, it was very important when the Spurs are team. You have to beat the bad teams, even when you're banged up. You have to beat the bad teams, and the Spurs are not a great team anymore. It's a team that actually looks like they're going to be now got to rebuild after all their years of making the playoffs.
Yeah, they need a star. They need a actual star to come there, and then they build around him. You guys can send your chat questions in. We're getting to the end of the pod. If you guys have any questions or thoughts, send them. Let me see. Did I play all of the clip?
He wants to go on the floor.
Irving has 10 in the quarter. Irving whistling around Aldridge through the lane. Kyrie Irving making Dumbledore swoon. Patty Mills was just chasing McDermott around the entire floor. Harden sees a seam and yaks it down. A left-hand hammer from the beard.
Going crazy. That's the energy we need, and I'm hoping that the Nets can bring this energy to Brooklyn, because I already showed you guys this upcoming schedule. It is not a schedule that I'm excited for. It is actually a gauntlet. So coming up, we got the Lakers Tuesday, and then we got Denver Wednesday. I'll have a new pod for you guys on Thursday before we head into the weekend.
That's going to be a
Golden
tough
State.
stretch.
It's going to be a tough stretch, but we got to take care of business at home. The Nets have only been a 500 team at home. Got to play better. I'm hoping Harden is locked in. I hope the refs are maybe some hometown refs or something. At least give us some breaks. Good win.
That would be nice for a change.
Glad the Nets were able to get that win in San Antonio. We're doing all right without KD. We just got to stay afloat without KD, and we'll be fine. All right, let's hit the chat. Let's see what you guys got in the chat. Questions and talk. I saw someone say we need a big man. Yeah, we do need I think we got to figure out. We have some bigs. Obviously, we have Day'Ron starting now. We have LA coming in off the bench. Young versus vet. Rookie versus a guy that's been doing it for a while.
Is there anyone that's going to be out there? Is there going to be anyone out there that we can grab?
Yeah, we got to see who's available, and if we're potentially going to trade Clax, okay. But we need a solid guy. I don't know. Everyone's saying we do need a big man. Let's see. I would go and get Miles Turner, but he's soft. Everybody talks about getting Miles Turner. Nets fans have been talking about getting Miles Turner for years. God, this 2022 team frustrates me. Yeah, think about it. It is frustrating. We start the year off with Kyrie can't play. Then we hit COVID, and we lose 10 players, and we lose more players. Now we have the KD injury, and now we have Kyrie back, but only on half the games. It's like this team is a good team, and we know that they can be a great team, but it all has to come together. We haven't been able to keep the big three together on the floor.
What is it? They've only played 16 games together or something like that?
I know, yeah. That's the thing that frustrates me, because people want to paint the Nets as this big, bad super team, as the evil villain, and it's like we haven't even been together on the floor that much. Like, we get bits and pieces. Like, when we actually can get this team together, it's like the universe isn't ready for it. The Heat and Bulls scare me in the playoffs. Not the Bulls as much anymore. Caruso, I mean, they're hurt right now, so they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall a little bit in the standings. Bulls are lacking Caruso, Lonzo.
How does Grayson Allen only get one game for that?
I don't know. And then the Bucks like doubled down on it, and they post him the next morning like it was a joke. Like, that guy has a history of being a dirty player or making stupid basketball plays.
He's a scumbag. How many times did he do that with Duke?
That was his whole MO. I'm a Duke fan. I watched him do it, and I hated it because I'm like, bro, like his freshman year, he won the championship with Duke, and from there, he just became this villain, tripping guys, kicking guys, fouling guys, and it's like, come on, bro, there's no need for that in the game. And yeah, one game for that, you literally broke this man's wrist. Like, he broke his wrist. Hopefully, y'all can beat Giannis in the Bucks. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. And one thing I wanted to say on this pod about injuries, right? We're talking about Caruso going down. Obviously, we're without KD and Joe Harris. It's going to happen to every team. Staying healthy for this run after the All-Star game is the most important, but all of these NBA teams are going to lose players. Every single season, we see a champion that goes through a team, and they go through a team that's not at full strength, right? The Bucks last year faced us with Harden on one leg and then Kyrie getting hurt in Game 4. Then they go on to face the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Trae Young hurts his foot. It's just like, it's part of basketball, man. It's literally how it goes down. We'll see what happens and how it shakes out.
The Bulls never had those injury issues. And I remember there was one year when the Knicks had a chance to get them, and they lost Derek Harper.
exactly how it goes every year. When you look at the Raptors, right? The Raptors faced the Warriors in a year where Clay went down and Durant went down. And
The Warriors just they did. Everyone was just at the end of that
they were
finals
shot. They were done.
Yeah.
There was nothing they could do, and it happens to everyone. So for us, I think the silver lining is KD is out right now, but it's like some much-needed rest. Not a big deal. I saw someone in the chat, big fan, Breezy. We got Thon Maker. Thon Maker will be with your Long Island Nets. Forget the guy they've been talking about for the Long Island Nets that's been killing it lately. Gray, I think. There might be some talent there. Josh Gray, you know, they've been talking about him in the last couple of weeks. I think he's turning some heads. I got to get my knowledge up on the Long Island Nets and see what's actually shaking over there. Maybe somebody that can help.
I like that I like that the G League is actually now becoming more important because I think that minor league basketball is something that's been needed for a while. Like and I think with the minor league basketball, they need to get rid of that one and out rule. And if you want to come, just don't mind playing in the G League for a year or two.
Right. All right.
If you want to come directly from high school.
If you guys don't have any more questions, we're going to wrap up here. I know Frank's got some things to do. I got some stuff to do, and I got to head to WFAN in the next hour. Frank, let people know where they can find you, where they can follow you, what you've been up to, and what you're working on podcast-wise, social media-wise, so that they can support.
Well, of course, I'm on Barstool Sports. I have my Twitter account, NJTank99, and you can find me on YouTube at Frank the Tank Fleming.
Just like that, New Jersey legend, Nets fan, Devils fan. We have those in common, but we obviously don't agree on our Mets and Yankees. But looking forward to the season. It should be a good year for both of those teams. Great pod, guys. Thanks.
Season.
Let's see. This guy's Connor's calling you out. He said Frank didn't know who Spencer Dinwiddie was on the Dozen Trivia. Explain yourself, Frank. I missed that. He knows who Spencer Dinwiddie is.
I don't know I don't know players' faces. I'm not good. I don't know.
And he's not on the Nets anymore. He's a Wizard, so that's fine.
I don't have good facial recognition around people in the office. I've never had good facial recognition.
I don't even know my own coworkers that great. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We would be there at the end. Exactly. It's an 82-game season. We're a little bit into the halfway point of it, and that's all good. All right, folks, make sure you subscribe. We are now monetized on YouTube. I am in the process of you guys being able to throw money in here. I'll definitely need some mods. If you want to be a mod, comment on this video and say, hey, I want to be a moderator, just to make sure the chat is flowing right, the conversation is good, and people are being respectful. Subscribe on our YouTube, and also subscribe to the actual podcast. Rate us. Do all that stuff. Leave a review. We need reviews. We need reviews. As I'm talking to people about Talking Nets or trying to get guests on like Frank the Tank, it helps us out to make us look good. Call the voicemail. No voicemails today. I don't think any came in, and if they did, they were late. No voicemails came in, but you can call and be on the next episode after the Lakers and Nuggets game. 201-870-0461. You can still get merch. You can still get the Talkin Nets merch, Nets World stuff on shop.johnboymedia.com. John Boy's going to keep our merch up there for the fans that want it, even though we're not on John Boy Media anymore. You can still buy Talkin Nets merch. Go for it. And last but not least, follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We also have a Twitch now, Facebook, all of that. We're bringing in guests. I saw Big Fan Breezy was like, I want to be a guest. We're working on it, man. There's a long list of people that want to be guests on Talkin Nets. And if you're a fan that has a platform or has, something that you do, I'd like for you to come on. There's people reaching out, and, we'll make sure that everybody gets a chance that deserves a chance, and we'll try and bring some more fans on Talkin Nets to co-host with me now that I'm rocking solo. That's all I've got. And last but not least, we say, let's go Nets. Let's go Nets.
Let's go Nets.
Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. Nice.